Right, good evening, everybody. Welcome. Looking forward to a live tonight where we're going to talk about what golf balls you should buy. Got a few categories. Got Matt putting his input as well. Should be a fun one. Right, what golf ball should you buy? We've got a few categories which we're going to start off with performance. When it comes to thinking about what golf ball you want to buy, very different prices, loads of obviously different options out there from different manufacturers. We're going to look at performance to start. Now, if you look on the back of any boxes, you're going to find that performance is really hard to kind of pin down between different sets of balls. It's really, they kind of, all the boxes almost say the same thing. So I'm going to try and give you some of my ideas of what you want to look for if you're trying to pick the best ball for your game and how much difference it will actually make or not. We've got the live chat going here as well. ProV1X, Keith, good morning from Matt. Hello, Matthew. Pro Staff, LOL from Matthew, UA1, AD333 or Vice Pro, ET. So keep your comments coming. We'll try and keep our eye on them. Hit the thumbs up button down there as well. Let me know if you want more lives. And obviously, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. If you're not a subscriber and you want more lives, it's down there. Give it a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button and also ring that bell if you want more free content and more lives. So performance, let's start with distance. How much does distance come into the mix when you're looking at buying, from many different manufacturers, these different golf ball options that you've got out there. Now, distance, when you start looking at the bracket of golf ball that we're really talking about, really isn't one of the factors that I will tend to look at when it comes to ball fittings and people asking me about golf ball. Now, if you're someone buying rock hard kind of $9.99 golf balls, probably this information is only going to be useful if you're looking for buying that slightly better quality of golf ball, and I need to do more testing on those to see what that does the distance. We're talking that kind of low to mid range from a manufacturer that dedicates itself to making golf balls. You know, these kind of people who are committing to making a range of golf balls for you. Distance tends to always be the same, and they, if you look at their information as well, they will tend to say that it's the same in distance generally with each club. Few outliers, if you like. TP5, you can squeeze a bit more distance at the top end and through the bag a little bit because it drops spin off in higher clubs, as some of my prior testing. And then things like Titleist ProV or the AVX. Again, can be a slightly lower spinning ball, which can encourage a fraction more distance if that's what you're looking for through dropping spin, but then there's other sacrifices in there. So generally, it's not going to be one of the key buying premises for my students. Next one would be spin. So if you take something like AD333 against the Srixon Z Star that I play, so premiums high spin ball to what is kind of not more medium range in AD333. Now with a driver, you're going to find those and equivalents in the other brands. Done this test with Titleist and things like that. You're going to notice that the spin's pretty much the same. It stays constant with a driver. Sometimes you see a fluctuation when you get to a 7-iron. So you start getting clubs with a little bit of deflection. You get a little bit of loft, and you see differences in covers and the way the ball reacts. So you might see slightly higher spin in that more premium ball. Fractions. How much difference that makes to your game would be marginal. Now, when you get to 9 irons down wedges, that's where you do start to see jumps of 300, 400, maybe 500 revs within brands. So obviously I'm showing you Srixon balls a lot here because I've got them in my house. You can apply this information to, you know, generally your Callaway mix of balls, Bridgestone, Titleist, those kind of things. So spin, you will start to see drop-offs and changes. Now I'm doing a study this year where I'm playing with these two balls, very different pricing, subject to the clubs I'm playing. So when I use my game improvement irons, I'm using a cheaper ball, and we're going to see, and you're going to watch to see if there's actually any difference through the year as I move from a Z Star into an AD333. It'll be interesting to see, but you will start to see some spin differences. Next thing you'll move on to is sound and feel. Now, what's interesting with these two balls, when you do a bit of research on the construction of these balls, so a 2-piece in the white to 3-piece in the yellow, and the myth, which kind of isn't there anymore, I don't think, 2-piece generally sound a bit harder, a bit firmer, 3-piece you get softer, and I wouldn't say that is such a thing anymore, more of a dated idea, because both of these two balls feel pretty much as soft as each other. So when it comes to sound and feel within any brand, again, no matter what it tries to tell you on the box, out of all of them, you can pretty much dial in sound and feels that you're after. Standout noticeable mentions is something like the Chrome Soft that commits itself to that soft, tall feeling, which people relate to more spin, which isn't a fact. With their ball, you won't get the clippier one, where when I use ProV1X, that was much clippier than, say, Pro V in its sound and feel, firmer, and much clippier than something like my Z Star. That's not saying it's better or worse. There are just those different feels out there, which you have to go and test and work out which one you prefer the sound and feel. Because remember, those sounds and feels aren't going to relate to those earlier spin and distance numbers nowhere near as much as you might think they actually do. And then obviously the last thing that might really encouraging you to look at different golf balls is you've got a lot of funky markings going on now. So you've got the Taylormade obviously with its system. If you look at something like the Mizuno ball here, it's got the line system on the end. I haven't got a pitch here, but Callaway have their triple track. You've got on the Z Star here on the, wrong camera, let me put the right camera up here. Z Star, you get your line system as well. That might be something you really want to buy into, but you're going to get that with most golf balls. Even AD333 has the 2 arrows and lines of the logo, which you could use to line up. So with those performance factors in mind, let's talk about testing. How would you test? Now for me, when I'm testing with students, and when I used to do lots of ball fittings, and what I would advise for you is I would start at the top end. So I would start right up there with your most expensive ball, benchmark some numbers. So for me, off the Q Star, if you like, or sorry, off the Z Star. And then from those numbers, I would dial back in price to see what I'm losing. How much spin am I losing with that 9-iron? Is the distance, as I said earlier, staying the same, which you'll find it generally will? At what club does the spin start dropping off? Is it at a 7-iron, 8-iron, 9-iron? And that might then concern you or not. So I would start at the top in quality of ball. Next thing I would do is I would then go and hit some putts with this ball. I want to know how it feels off the putter. I would then hit some chips, maybe some 50 to 100 yard approach shots. Then I'd go to a 7-iron, and then I'd go for a driver, because I'm going to work in my distance elements with driver and mid irons, spin numbers with that short stuff, so chips, pitch shots, 9-irons, 7-irons if you're hitting them. And then with all of that, I'm going to work in the sound and feel, and then I'm going to end somewhere on the markings. That's very much how I would advise you to test at home, and how I would advise any ball fitters out there. And if there's any ball fitters watching, post comments down below or hit the comments up now if you do it in a different way. But I've seen world-class players test balls on tours with some of the best fitters, and that's generally the pattern of the process they're going. Unless they're really trying to nail a number. I just can't get my driver spinning less. Can you get me a ball that helps me? Those kind of ideas. And then you do go to those outliers, AVX. All companies have slight variations in spin models, certainly on tour ranges, of their premium ball that they offer. And then it would come to brand, really, what brand you want to ally with. So again, each of the main manufacturers will have a price point at each point, which is generally quite similar with a few exceptions, that will allow you to hit the price point you want in the category, or hopefully as close as you can get. We're going to come to your questions in the chat in a second. Thank you for firing them all in. Remember, hit that thumbs up button if you want to see more of these, and that subscribe button down there if you want to see more lives. I do enjoy doing them and trying to interact with you on a live basis. At the moment, it's very entertaining. I've always enjoyed doing these. Right, shall we look at price? So Coach has sent me over his information, what he thinks about price.
So me and Price, given balls, obviously about the price of a golf. What is the, and being in the golf?
All right, I think we're losing a little bit of connection. Stream dead. Unfortunately, the issues of trying to do lives are always fun. I'm relying on let's see if this comes back a little bit. Basically, Coach is talking about price, and he's saying very much similar to what we were saying earlier. He is talking about, basically, he's grown up not really having to buy golf balls, and what's happened is, if he actually was forced to buy golf balls, he would seriously be considering, through the testing we've done, why we are spending more on golf balls for those premium balls. How much of it is your performance, and how much of it is you just buying into the snobbery of balls. I can see in the comments there, sorry, hopefully the stream is back on. Didn't seem to like Coach's video there. So basically I'm talking through what he was saying, which he was talking about price. I might be able to actually just change him. No, I think his video is not going to work, unfortunately. So something we'll work on in the future. So basically he was talking about price. He was talking about, again, why would you spend more? So in the comments down below, let me know, what do you spend on golf balls? I did a little test, or I posted a comment on my Instagram earlier, a question, and basically 43% of you spend under £25 on golf balls, and 57% of you spend over £25 on golf balls. So from that little survey, people are happy to spend more money on golf balls, and I do wonder how much of that is really about the conditioning of what you're kind of used to when it comes to golf balls, and how much you think you should spend on golf balls. Now let's get into a few questions that might dial down into why you spend so much on golf balls. I can see people here saying £45, £21, Tour B XS for me per dozen, 25 a dozen, Nick in the comments here. People ProV1, ProV1X. Shouldn't quality of manufacturing be a big consideration if you want consistently? Glenn Williams. Good question. Look, let's get into the questions, and some of that might come up. So Mark on Facebook asked earlier, lake balls, refurbished balls effect on using them, distance and direction losses or myths? Great question. Refurbished lake balls as a general rule, and obviously you get some decent ones in your lake balls and stuff, but you're gonna get complete inconsistencies. I would never play with lake balls and refurbished personally. Rory buys them sometimes on our trips, because obviously Rory is not afraid to lose the old golf ball. That is a great picture of Ray, isn't it? But you start seeing the ball coming off on the face. You definitely see some wobbly flights. You see ones that have been repainted, which is just an awful job. You know, I understand why he does it. It's a purchase basically on price. But I would strongly advise you, if you can, to just, that's a last resort. I wouldn't be touching them personally. Next question. Should most of us be playing higher spin balls to assist stopping on greens? That's Steve's question there. Should most of us be playing higher spin balls, stopping on greens? We'll come to that next question in a second. Yes, you should. It's only price. If you take price out of the equation, you would all use, chucking the ball, you would all use the top ball. No doubt. Why would you give that performance away? You would all use it. The difference that would make over the cheaper ball, it might not even add up to a shot in a year because it is marginal, and we're going to round up with any little advantage that you can get, basically. Last question, and I've saved Mr. Ping's question to last because I think it's a very good one, and it's one I can see people asking in the chat. It's one that I get asked all the time. It matters to who it matters to. I honestly believe that the difference in my experiment between these two very different price balls will have zero effect that you can see through the year. I think if you really took data of all my rounds and situations, and you worked out how many times I was short-sided with one ball or not, and how it helped me and how it didn't with a different ball, you would start to see minuscule advantages, which again, if money isn't an issue, why would you give them up? That's always gonna what it comes back to. So actually, this question, I think, comes down to your personality. Are you someone who wants to perfect everything you do through your equipment by 0.1% every time, or whatever that percent is? Do you want to just improve by that tiny percentage? Me personally, I'm not so meticulous that way, never have been with my golf. I would rather work on the massive chunks that are a problem, and then when you get to a skill where I'm running out of chunks to work on, I then will start working down my percentages with balls, perfect fits, your perfect shaft and the perfect shoes and all that kind of stuff. So I honestly think the golf ball question amongst amateurs does get blown out of proportion. Now, this is not to say that I don't think it's important. I think it is, because there's some points here that we're going to make in the last part of this video that maybe point towards why you should be really thinking about what ball you're using, but maybe not always just by price and not performance, but a few different elements of its performance. So some noticeable different mentions that you want to think about when it comes to ball. Don't change your ball. So if I'm playing with AD333, that's the only ball that's in my bag. I get rid of the other ones. I want consistency of feel, flight, performance, sound, stopping. I want everything to be consistent, so I don't have to blame that in any way. I can make sure I'm blaming me. One of the biggest problems with golfers is their reluctance sometimes to blame themselves. They're looking always outwards for blame. You see this on social media. I've seen it on golf courses for years. So don't change. So if I'm on the Z Star with the set of clubs I use with the Z Star, then that's all I've got in my bag. I take the AD333s out. I'm not going to pull a different ball. The amount of amateurs who pull a ball out once they've gotten out of bound, fluttered and ate a different one, oh, that sounded different. Or all of a sudden it does go a little bit further because it spins a little less, or it has got cuts in it and it is wobbling or moving offline in the air. Like, golf, I always think, is constant kind of free fall. You know, we're constantly losing at golf. So anytime you can hold on to any consistencies, and the ball being one of them, I would advise you to do that. Doesn't mean just go and buy the most expensive ball. Buy the ball that you can afford, but make sure it's the same one each time. Difference between amateurs and good players, amateurs and pros, that for all my life hasn't changed. It's such an amateur mistake to have a mixed bag of golf balls. Next thing, really basic, mark them. So put your mark on them, get a selfie, get your initials printed on them. Manufacturers do that, and just put your mark on them. The amount of pro-ams I used to play in, busy golf course, full of golfers, player hooks it over on the other fairway, and I go and find it. Jim, is this your ball? It's a Srixon 1. Yeah, Srixon 1, that's what I'm playing. They get over there, hit it. It's not their ball, because there's other Srixon 1s in the world, isn't there? So put your mark on it. It's so basic, and something often is so forgotten, I think, with amateurs. So a great way, again, of giving you consistency that you know what you're getting them. And then the main point I would like to make here today, if you're someone who loses golf balls, if you're someone who pulls a new ball out of the bag and they're not cheap, you stand on that tee and go and smash it in the rubbish pretty consistently, then let's have some realism to what ball you're picking and using. No point spending loads of money on golf balls if you are that person that hits it in the rubbish. Please, 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 please just play ones that you can afford when you, again, get the bigger chunks out of your game. You know, if you're swinging 10 across it and you can't control the club face and you don't strike it, fixing that 0.1% will make you better in theory, but you got bigger fish to fry. So it's the consistency of the performance of you with the piece of equipment that you use. The biggest noticeable difference, start giving some crazy feeling different balls to tour pros, they hit them, they'll feel it straight away. They'll say things like, I can't play like that, I can't do what I need to do with that ball, those kind of ideas. So it is really about keeping consistency. Performance, distance, you're not going to see much. Spin, you're going to see a bit much when you get some changes when you get into some lofted clubs. Sound and feel, definitely you might feel some differences. Markings and colour, obviously there's some very visible differences that some people will love and hate. When it comes to testing, test your best ball as a benchmark and work back from there. Start from the green out. You're not going to need to hit driver after driver. That's a misconception. Balls, when it comes to price, you need to justify why you're spending what you're spending on the balls, in my opinion. And if it is that 0.1%, that's not a problem. That's fine. That's why you want to spend your money. That's a good thing, as long as you're comfortable with it. What difference does the ball make? You ask any world-class golf coach. Last thing, I could teach you with a range ball within reason. I can teach you with the most expensive golf ball in reason. Your movements, the way you perform is far going to outweigh what any of these balls can do. You're looking for your ball to be the most consistent thing you can. Really, at the end of the day, is what you're actually trying to perfect. Should we do a few of the old questions in the chat? Thanks for everyone. Make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Remember as well, we've got that subscribe button down there. Make sure you do hit that subscribe button down there if you want to see more live. Sorry about the slight crash there with Lockie's video. I'll work out the technical issues for that next time. But I think I covered everything he was saying. Sorry, Matt, if you're watching, because I know you spent some time doing it today and it just crashed. Does compression make a difference? Not really, Phil. It's a very misconception. If you go on Titleist website, for instance, they'll tell you that the compression of their balls are pretty much all the same. It's not something that's such a thing anymore. What else are we saying? Do you play with a new ball every round? Tommy Jones. I do, Tommy, and I used to when I competed. I wouldn't when I practice. I would use a better one. I'm not really much of a ball loser. I don't lose them that much, and I can make them go quite a long way. But I would never play a tournament not using a new ball, and I would change it as soon as there was any scuffs. But I would not do that playing with friends. So again, do you see what I mean? If I'm playing a tournament, I want that 0.1%. If I'm playing with my mates, I just want to have fun. So I'm doing the same thing, even though I'm not buying those balls. Hi, Mark. Were ping balls any good before stop making them? Don't actually know, Gavin. Never got to test them. I remember seeing them. They always seemed a bit more gimmicky. David in the comments, waiting for My Golf Spy's next ball analysis. Anyone who hasn't seen that, head over to the My Golf Spy website. Definitely check it out. Love what those the My Golf Spy team are all about. I use them as a resource as much as you should as well. They coined the fade. I've got it down here. Is soft slow? Maybe post in the comments what that means to you. We've done lots of testing with golf balls, and I'm sure if you use a robot like they did, soft comes out slower. I'm not going to question that, and I'll use that research for my own teaching and what have you, and it's great. When you do it with humans, very hard to actually see any difference in the speed. It's quite an interesting one because the human brings such a big tolerance when the balls are so tight in tolerance. Let's do one more. Let's see who's got the last one to finish. How different are the balls between manufacturers really? KVN. Great question. when you look behind the scenes of the bull market, it's like the Wild West, and I'm not going to drop any bombs here because it's not fair on anyone. You go and test for yourself. But there are some dodgy people in the bull market doing some very underhand things from some surprisingly big manufacturers. I've seen it firsthand, and it really did shock me. You basically got to stick, in my opinion, with the true dedicated bull manufacturers. When you move away from them, even if you get to the big names in golf, there's some funny things going on that hopefully will stop, and to be honest with you, shouldn't be going on. Anyway, there you go. Thanks for watching. Hope that helps. Sorry about the crash in the middle. Hope that gives you some ideas on how to choose your next golf ball. If you like the lives, hit the thumbs up button, hit the subscribe. Let me know. We're locked in still at the minute, so we can do more lives. I enjoy them. I enjoy interacting, answering your questions. Maybe in the comments down below, maybe post some suggestions of what you would like the next live to be talking about. Have a great evening. See you next time.